and co-founder of Surface Mobility Consultants, UAE and Qatar. He's a chartered member of the Institute of Logistics and Transport and experienced project manager in civil and intelligent transportation system engineering. So please have the floor. So you have 30 minutes. Thank you.
30 minutes. Can I ask? My name's Scott Fennelly. It's nice to see some faces that I know and remember from a couple of months back. I'm going to give a short presentation. A lot of this has already been touched on by Ashish, but on the future vehicles and their interactions with ITS. The presentation is going to go through what the future might hold. How can cooperative ITS assist? I know there was somebody touched on this yesterday, but I think it's something we need to look through in the future. The role of smart infrastructure within the transport network and how traffic management may evolve. I have an Irish accent and I have a cold, so if you need to ask me any questions, please feel free to jump in at any time. The world has evolved with our need and our desire to travel in cars and public transport. And this has given a lot of impact on the transportation industry and on areas where we develop transport planning, systems, etc. Today's population growth and the environmental issues have provided us with a chance to provide even more innovation within our designs. But all is still reliant on urban planning, technology, a multidisciplinary approach to design, provision of safety for all of our citizens and their well-being, and modelling of the future economic generators. There's been a number of changes in our social aspects, in our culture, shopping, in our cost of resources. These have all had an impact on the new innovations that are coming through. Here in Dubai and in the UAE, it's the government that are leading the transportation issues and the autonomous vehicles, and it's not necessarily the private sector. And this is allowing us to implement a number of areas where other regions may not be getting the full effect. We're currently seeing a lot of systems being deployed all over the world. The kind of freight shuttle systems which are being trialed in a number of areas, including the US and Germany. These are seeing excellent results. There's the possibility of the high-speed rail or the maglev trains in Japan. These are hopefully going to be there in 2020. Car sharing is now implemented in 600 cities worldwide and seeing costs reduced in emission reductions. The Hyperloop, of course, is always a massive talking point here in the UAE. And smart parking. We're not going to see parking disappear, but there may no longer be a necessity to have large parking lots at shopping centres and offices. We'll be seeing these disappear to other areas around the cities. So the future is looking bright. Dubai already has one of the longest driverless metros, and it sees about 650,000 riders per day. This is bound to increase over the next couple of years. Phase 2 of the tram may see some autonomous functionality. 25% of all the transportation trips may be driverless by 2030, we hope so. And we are seeing a massive increase in the autonomous world. So the game changer may be, as Ashish was saying, in the public transport sector. I have a personal belief, and I think others agree, that we will see the autonomous buses. These will have a massive impact on our roads. Autonomous cars, I agree, I think we're going to be stuck with one lane for the time being, and then it will disperse. But I think we need to concentrate on public transport becoming autonomous, and the cars will look after themselves in the long run. So this is where I want to see how cooperative ITS can work. Cooperative ITS has only been touched on once or twice, but it's a system that allows the infrastructure, vehicles, communications, all to talk to one another and to a dedicated traffic management center, OCC, whatever needs to be. With the cooperative ITS, we can allow vehicles to talk to each other. When they're coming up to the end of a traffic jam queue, when they're coming up to an incident, they will be able to report this to other vehicles, to roadside units, and provide dedicated information to traffic managers or operational control centers. Again, this will allow a seamless environment. Virtually all of the technologies are already available for cooperative ITS. Sensors are available for the detection of position, variables, speed, and environmental information such as your headlights on and off, your wipers on and off. By sharing this information with traffic managers and with transport planners, we can get an easily accessed amount of data and provide excellent advice to the travelling public. It can be easily applied to all road users, from public transport to the vulnerable road users such as those on bikes, pedestrians, and they can use this information to easily access the transport network. Additional advantages, and again, as she's touched on this earlier on, is priority of traffic signals, hazard warnings, V2I and V2V, data collection and traffic monitoring, secure truck parking on highways, in-vehicle signage, the speed and incidents that you will see flashed up on your screen, speed advice when it comes down to incidents happening on the highways. All of these need to and should come from a cooperative system. How can we deploy this system? It will require numerous stakeholders to be not only invested but coordinated: government, automotive industry, consultants, private sectors. All of these people will need to sit there around the table and come up with a framework that will allow all the information to be integrated. The benefit of cooperative ITS will only be seen from day one. It will be minimal. People won't see an advantage from it from day one, but over time this will come in. So we need to get a cooperative ITS to come in at a penetration rate which is currently in the market. This is already seen with messages such as junction topology, traffic signal information and timings, incident advice, environmental advice. All of these messages are already available to be pushed into an information field. The safe and efficient movement of people is also requires the underlying infrastructure. This is true today and will continue to be true in the future. Infrastructure will become even more interconnected. The people will require an increasing expectation for a multi-modal transportation system. This will be within our parking lots, within our transit stations. Everybody will want the information to hand straight away. The traffic management center will become an even more focal point for information. Currently, data is coming into traffic management centers where staff are not necessarily available to carry out data analytics, etc. So we need to increase our understanding of what this information can provide and how this information can assist the public. Retailers and good providers will need to integrate into existing infrastructure to be able to, first of all, monitor their fleets, but then provide advantageous routes to them if there are incidents, etc. There's also a parallel digital infrastructure. This is already developing, and we are seeing this definitely in Dubai at the moment, but all around the world. So autonomous and connected vehicles are already, as I said, equipped with real-time optimal progression, but they will also be able to provide information on road hazards before they are encountered. Intelligent roads and bridges. The transport agency should look at implemented technologies that will assist them with managing infrastructure and maintenance and the planning of these in the future. And the digital infrastructure becomes a mission-critical function Authorities will need to enhance the capacities of the data management and communications networks. We're already seeing this in the UAE, not necessarily in other countries. When we want to design a connected vehicle and a connected environment, it's an opportunity to adapt our infrastructure accordingly. This isn't necessarily happening at the moment. We're going all the way to autonomous vehicles and not adapting our infrastructure accordingly. Data that's coming in even now, we can get a sensor that will tell you when you've hit a pothole in your car. This information can go to a planning authority, a maintenance department, or the traffic management centre, and we can get people out to fix these potholes straight away. This in turn can provide an even more in-depth maintenance regime in the future. Road signage and warnings. This is one of my big concerns, especially here in Dubai. Road signs and road names change nearly on a daily basis. We've all been driving down the road and suddenly Business Bay is a prime example. Happiness Street turned up in a day and disappeared in a day. But that data needs to be reflected on a GPS map in the future for autonomous vehicles. If somebody wants to get off a highway at a certain road, that road needs to remain the same, or the number needs to remain the same. And it needs constant updating. And this is where the new systems need to be adapted in the traffic management center. Pricing. In an autonomous world, we might see better information coming through where we can allow for better tolling, better pricing, point to point. All this information can contribute to a better world, a more connected world. So how will traffic management evolve? Well, information coming from incidents will allow us to respond better to the scene. Everybody talks about whether it's going to be a safer environment with autonomous vehicles. The information alone will allow that to be a safer environment. We may not get to point zero or vision zero, but we will get on another step closer to it. Real-time information on incident clearance will allow for routes to be opened a lot quicker. Improved traveller notification on nearby corridors will be there. There'll be an increase on weather data. Again, not necessarily snow here, but definitely in other countries, they will get information on icy condition. Here, we're looking at fog and sandstorms. We're still trying to get that information through on-site ITS systems, but autonomous vehicles will allow us to get more information. Additional speed data will allow us to monitor real-time state of transportation network. At the moment, again, we are relying on the likes of Google Maps and the RTA system, but additional information will come through. And data at work zones. Again, this is a personal favourite. The amount of times I've seen people nearly, and it doesn't happen as much here thankfully, but definitely in Europe, the amount of times I've seen people nearly hit by cars when they're working at work zones because the cars don't listen to the speed limits. This information will slow your autonomous vehicle down or your self-driving vehicle down. So when you hit an 80 kilometer stretch where there's a work zone, you will actually have to do 80 kilometers. How that's going to impact in reality, that's another question. So what do we need to do to make sure we stay ahead of the game? We need to consistently innovate. These technologies are coming quicker than we can design them, and that's the truth. Vehicle manufacturers are putting autonomous capabilities in the cars, and we've all said it, the user behavior needs to be taught and it needs to be out there in the big wide world. At the moment, we're all talking about autonomous vehicles, but the public perception is low, and we need to get that marketing material out. We need to consistently manage our road infrastructure and provide correct procedures, not just for driving, but for maintenance, for updating, and for placing ITS systems on the road. And I personally believe that a new skill set will come into traffic management and operational control centres. The data analyst and the consistent upgrading of systems and aligning them with new technologies and including existing technologies needs to be concentrated on. It's not just going to become an operator environment. So we're already, that's nice. Wasn't meant to look like that. We're already seeing that anything is possible. So we need to be ready for anything. This means that our infrastructure design teams, our design planning teams, our transport planning teams, our traffic management centres, our parking teams, all the design elements of a good road network need to be aware of what is coming down the line and need to have members of their teams that are aware of what is coming down the line. Because we never know what's around the next corner. That's me done. No questions, please.